Hello everyone, Giltar here with a Kamen Rider action figure review for week 3 of Rider Fest. This time we'll be looking at the SIC Kamen Rider Kiba action figure. Now I'm going to do something a little different for this review. I'm going to try something, I guess, experimental. For this particular review, the format that I'm going to follow is that I'm going to actually go through the pros and cons as I go through the various features of this action figure product. So I'm going to start off with just the basic information and then head right on into the sort of combination of pros and cons and details that I'll be doing at the same time. I want to see if this might make my reviews a little more fluid, a little less dry and boring as I think they tend to be, just because I usually just give you information. I want to try to mix things up a little bit, so let's see how this goes. So first of all, Kamen Rider Kiba here, the SIC figure, is volume 50, which came out in August of 2009 originally, and retails for 4,500 yen. So that's pretty much nearly $50 American at current exchange rate. So it's easy to just say it's a $50 action figure, or figure, however you want to sort of classify it. And as with all other SIC figures, has all the basic details. Please check out my introduction to SIC video for all the basic information that you'll probably need to know about the SIC product line and related product lines. So first of all, just going through the pros, I guess, I'm going to move the Kiba figure back here and go over the packaging, because I think it's really nice. First of all, this is the box that it comes in. It's quite a large package. Really nice, large windowed front portion of the box, so that you can actually display the figure as a display piece, whether if you want to keep it mint and sealed box or just mint in box. It'll still look great. You'll see the packaging and you'll see all the sort of information or details of the character figure that's necessary. Really nice looking sort of silver text here with Kiba at the back here on the side. Obviously Bandai's stamp here, as this is a Bandai product. On either side of the box there's sort of another window, but on this side the sort of visuals or the graphics of the chains are not cut out. They actually go over the open window part, whereas on this side it's a clear window, which I really like, because just as someone who is an aspiring artist, I appreciate these sort of attentions to detail with respect to graphic design or packaging design of things like these action figures. So I like the fact that the designer didn't cut off the chains and just have a cleared window. They actually had the chains continue on through the windowed portion. And on the back, some just basic promotional photography of the figure doing a lot of interesting things. So that's nice. Now within the package you get a double-sided piece of just normal paper, black and white instructions, and sort of an inventory list of the accessories, and various instructions of how to do whatever you need to do with the figure with respect to it, using accessories and changing up like the leg armor here for the Darkness Moon Break special move. It tells you how to sort of equip those certain parts and swap them out. On the back, some more information. Really nice thing here that they do is that they give a list of all of the volumes of SIC figures up until Kiba, which is again 50, so this goes from volume 1 all the way to volume 49. So it's sort of, I guess, a sort of checklist for SIC collectors. And finally we get the sort of plastic bubble casing part for the figure itself, where all the items are stored. Now I'm going to just put this over here for a moment, and starting off with the accessories. This is one of the pros. You have a really nice, healthy assortment of accessories. The figure comes with these sort of two clenched fist hands. By default, they're connected to the figure. And then you get 3 other pairs of hands. You get a pair of sort of open-fingered pose hands for Kiba when he does his sort of Darkness Moon Break, and these are his sort of, I guess, trademark sort of somewhat contorted finger pose hands. You get a pair of these grip hands for holding objects, but specifically I think the Bloody Rose violin that comes with this figure has a bow, and these are the hands that you use for it, so you can switch up either left or right for using the bow. And finally you have 2 open fingered hands, which are they're not really grip or holding things hands, they're really more for cradling, for example, the neck of the violin there, or other objects. You get 6 Fuessels or Fuserus or however you want to pronounce them. I can't recall them being actually anybody speaking the name of these items on the show itself, so I'm not sure what the pronunciation is. I only sort of go off by what other reviewers have said. So starting off here, we have Basha, Garulu, Doga. On the top here, we have, I believe this is I think the Barun Fuessel. This is for, I think, Castle Doran, and this is the Wake Up. And you also get a Kiva at the Bat, the third attachment for the belt. This is sort of more show accurate, as Kiva at the Bat's more spherical, his head here and his sort of main body, and you use that for attaching the Fuessels into. However, you also get, I moved it off camera there, a metallic Kiva at the Bat for the belt, and then you have a sort of more show accurate colored version that's in plastic. And these are sort of more in tune with the design of the costume here, where it's a little more realistic looking, or sort of it fits with the aesthetic, whereas again this round sort of shaped Kiva at the Bat here is more show accurate, where it's a little more sort of not cartoony but a little more sort of simplistic, I guess. Now to finish up with the accessories, and you'll see why this chain is here. Again, we have the Bloody Rose violin and the bow that comes with it. I really like these accessories. I actually used to play violin when I was a kid, and even though this grip hand doesn't have it sort of the ability to hold the bow quite sort of right, how you normally hold bows for violins is like this. You cradle it in your hand, you support it with your finger or fingers, the back, and you hold your thumb here. This hand kind of does that. It kind of almost grips it, but if you look at it from this side, it looks more like a sort of convincing pose hand for the bow. So I really like that attention to detail. This is something that only people who are more familiar with the use of violin would appreciate, but I do like that touch on the sculpt of the hand there. So I'll just remove the bow. Remove the violin. Very, very nicely sculpted. Brings back memories of when I had violin lessons. Yeah, just really, really nicely sculpted. You should be careful. This part, the neck or bridge of the bow here, is made of overall the bow is sort of hard here, but up here it's a little more flexible. It's probably made of PVC, so you want to be careful with it because it might be prone to breaking if you put too much stress on it. But just a really great detail, especially the sculpted the head here of the violin. Just a really nice accessory. Now as far as the chain here, this goes on the leg armor, and this is actually removable. You basically, I had it unattached for the review because it is kind of hard. It has this sort of spring sort of securing part here. It's spring loaded, and it's really hard because it's just hard for me at least to get it to removed from the ring here. But once you remove it from the ring, you just basically unwrap it from the leg armor, and you just unfold the leg armor, and it basically goes off in these separate components. Now as you can see here, the inner leg is pretty skinny, but that's alright. It sort of goes in, sort of like, it matches this leg's sort of proportions without the armor, I guess. So really nicely painted details. In fact, all around the figure, the painted details are excellent. No paint application errors, at least for my Kiva figure. Now with the bared leg, what you can do now is attach the sort of open wing portions for the Darkness Moonbreak move, if you want to pose the character like that. Very nicely done. Transparent or translucent red plastic, and it's got this silver paint here, which is actually translucent. I can't do it right now, but if you shine it up to a light source, it actually comes through, and it has a really nice looking sort of visual effect there. But basically there are plastic tabs here that go into rectangular slots, and you slot them into the each side of the calf, actually. And it's nice that they're tight, they don't fall out too easily, at least again for my figure. And why I have to specify my figure is that there are going to be quality control issues with action figures, and there are actually a couple of issues with my Kiva figure, which I'll be going over in a few moments. But again, you basically tab the two wing parts in, and then you have this, which is a really nice looking accessory for the leg. And for fans of the show, something else to point out is that on the soles of the boots here, it has like these patterns for the Kiva symbol, and his right foot is for I guess kicking the enemy and imprinting that large Kiva symbol. So that's really, really nice. But yeah, excellent choice of material here, and it's sturdy. Even though it's clear plastic, there's a flexibility to it. So it's not the more traditional clear plastic that is more stiff and brittle and more prone to cracking and fracturing. Now, as far as the Fuessels, I didn't take them out, but you can attach them to the belt here. There are circular pegs here that the Fuessels, basically tab onto. Now, one reason why I haven't taken them out is just I haven't had time to really take out all my SIC figures and put them up for display. And also another reason is that they're so small, I don't want to risk losing them. So until I really get a nice display case set up somewhere, I won't be taking out the smaller accessories for the most part of any of my sort of action figure collection. But that pretty much does it for the accessories. So that is one pro, just a really great assortment, really great visual presentation for the packaging and the figure itself. As usual, the compound eyes, transparent plastic with sort of textured background in the back within the head portion, so you get some really nice visual effect here. Another thing I like about the SIC Kiva figure is just it's a really great representation of the costume from the show. As with all SIC figures, it does deviate. It sort of makes it a more contemporary design, it revamps the design of the TV show costumes, which are generally more simplistic. With Kiva, it takes a different direction with respect to just the type of materials used, but it stays true to the source material. One common complaint of SIC figures, at least the early generation, is that a lot of fans felt that the designs really deviated too far from the source material, and people who are more, I guess, into the classic designs, the TV accurate designs, didn't appreciate or like that kind of deviation. With the later SIC figures, they tended to do less deviation, stay closer to the source material, but still give them a sort of fresh new look and design, and that's really well done with Kiva here. So those are basically the pros. I like the presentation, the packaging, the assortment of accessories, and the visuals. Let's go into the cons. First of all, high price. It's basically a $50 product, plus you have to pay for shipping usually, unless you have a local hobby store that carries this product. But even then, if you're paying shipping, it's going to be at least another several dollars. If you're buying it from a local store, unless you get it on sale, it's going to be marked up for import fees. So it's probably going to run you near $60 on average, unless you get really lucky. So that's one thing you have to consider, and it is a negative point. Another negative point is that the articulation overall is pretty good with all these bends and joints, but it is somewhat hindered by a few points of sculpting. For example, the hips are hindered by the sort of waist pelvis joints here, or pieces rather. It's made of PVC basically, but if you can hear it, there's a lot of resistance, and it'll deform these armor pieces. So I really don't want to pose this figure in two different or two sort of a wide legged pose, for example, because I don't want to permanently damage or deform these pieces of the figure. Similarly, the shoulder armor here, which is nice, it's made of die-cast metal, really has a limited range of movement, so you can't really move it around much, so it hinders the shoulder movement laterally or to the sides basically, and even front and back. So you can do a lot with the elbows and wrists, you can do a lot with the knees and ankles, but it's the shoulders and hips, the sculpting of the costume design and of the figure really hinder it, and I'm pretty sure something different could have been done in terms of the design of those parts to allow greater articulation. And another issue is just questionable quality control. The ankle joints on my figure are pretty loose, and they are ball joints, ball hinge joint combination parts. And the same goes with the waist joints. They're really loose, and I could tighten them up by removing them and putting some either clear nail polish or super glue or something else that'll dry to a really hard substance or material to sort of thicken up those joints. But it only works best on ball joints. For these hinge joints, I don't want to risk playing around with them and potentially ruining a $50 toy for the sake of improving something that should have been handled in the production process. So yeah, those are the issues there, and overall I would have to say definitely worth a purchase. If you're into SIC, you're going to be into something like this. This is not for the general toy collector. This is for something or someone who's more of a Kamen Rider fan or a sort of a high-end action figure fan. If you're in that sort of division, do consider getting this, but consider the cons I mentioned. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. As usual, I hope you got something out of it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed Rider Fest so far. We still got a few more weeks to go, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.